Okay, welcome back. Sorry about the last video. The audio quality was just the worst. I'm trying to test this right now, so I'm kind of going over the collection at this point to try to get down as far as audio quality, what I need to do, content, that kind of stuff. Because I don't want to have really important, cool videos. Just be outclassed because the audio quality is so terrible and the content's so terrible. So this one's going to be a quick one. It's just going to kind of touch on some of the cards and Vikings that see a lot more play. Hopefully, Cards and Castles decides to load for me. Fantastic. I'm going to show off what I got in Vikings, and I just want to touch on a few cards. I don't want to really go through all of them. I mean, because look how many cards there are. There's so many. Here we go. Keep on. We're still going. Oh, we're still going. Look at all those cards. That's a ton of cards. So going over every single one of them would make an extraordinarily long video. And I don't really want to do that. I mean, just touching on the neutral cards took me 20 minutes. And I don't really want to drag anybody through that. I mean, let's show the foils that I've got. I'm missing most of the AOD foils, but I believe I have all the foils for Vikings other than the new ones. So here's my foils. Oh, look at that. Foil legendary. Woo! So, I don't think I have this either. But yeah, other than that, I have pretty much everything. Yay, everything. Let's see. Oh, no shards. You can earn shards by disenchanting other cards. 16,000 shards to make this. That's absurd. Considering that an average pack gives you 200 shards. Yeah. Yay, foils. Again, woo, I could shard him away for 8,000 shards if I wanted to, but I don't because Brinjals, though. So, let's touch on some of the best cards in Vikings. Not to say that the other cards aren't good, but I just really want to touch on the best ones. Just highlight what's great and what should be played in Vikings, and then a couple other things. So, those are permanent buffs. All right, first card I want to touch on is Cold Blast. This card used to be amazing when it moved your units or your opponent's units. This card was incredible. Now it changed a little bit. However, one thing I want to note is I do like to pick one of these up for draft or tournament, whatever you decide to call it. And here's the reason why. A lot of people have a tendency to play that stupid ass suit of armor. And suit of armor sucks. But it becomes even worse if you cold blast suit of armor and launch it all the way back into your opponent's camp. Most people put it in the center row. So if you hit it with a cold blast, it'll launch all the way back behind your opponent's castle. So it's just in the way for them for the rest of the game. It'll take them one additional turn to get to your base to do any damage to you. So Cold Blast moves Suit of Armor, and that in and of itself makes it worthwhile for me to invest in one of these in tournament mode if I don't have anything better to pick. In construction, it's no good. Terrible, 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 decent. Let's see here. What do I want to touch on? Brinjals Blessing. This card's a legendary, as you can see by its fancy legend border. Brinjals Blessing has kind of got a love-hate relationship with the community right now, I think. The buff that it gives 4 attack and 4 health permanent is fantastic. It makes a unit huge. I mean, just can you imagine just a regular 2-drop unit with a 4/4 stat line? No, that would be really good. Everybody would play it, I think. So it has a better stat line in and of itself than a card like Lumberjack and Bear. However, it has to be put on a unit that already has knockback. So it's very limited on the units that can make use of this card. Cards that can make use of it are anything that you've enchanted with a knockback, like Wind Weapon, Fist of the Ancient Hero, like Brinjals, Ragnar, Berserker. That's pretty much it. Or a Drake if you play Aerith, something like that. are really the only cards that can make use of Brinjals Blessing. However, if you get Brinjals Blessing down, it makes that unit a monster. Very, very difficult to deal with. Brinjals Blessing just puts it out of reach for a lot of cards. You'll get value trades out of it. So it can be useful. However, you really need to be careful about playing it. Sometimes it's just a dead card. If you can get it to work effectively, this card is insane. Let's touch on a couple of other cards here. Again, I want to go quick. Rampage. Let's touch on Rampage a little bit. This card seems a lot better than it actually is. Giving a unit double strike sounds awesome, but it's not that great. One thing that I do want to check with Rampage, and I haven't gotten an opportunity to test it yet, so you know what? Let's test it now. I want to know. I'll test it at the end of this video. I want to know if a damaged support unit like Smithy will be able to support twice in a turn. Because that might be something cute for Rampage. Ugh. Sorry about that. I want to know if a support unit can support twice the Rampage. I know a support unit with stealth can support without losing its stealth. Generally, a unit loses, it can't attack, or it loses stealth when it attacks. But a support unit stays stealth while it supports, so I'm leaning no, it doesn't do that, but I will test it at the end of this video. But Rampage seems a lot better than it actually is. Let's look at it. See, it says may attack twice every turn. It seems a lot better than it actually is. Keep in mind that your units are generally going to receive retaliation damage if they're attacking units. And if you're attacking the base, Triple Strike is just better because it's not situationally useful. Where you don't have to have a damaged unit in order to make it work. Smithy, man, Warrior. Warrior is amazing. You should play it in all of your Viking decks. Let's touch on Winds of the North. Winds of the North is fantastic. This card should be played a lot more than it actually is in Vikings. This moves all of your enemies and all of your allies 2 spaces toward the enemy side, which means your units can be poorly placed. Play Winds of the North, and they will reach your opponent's base and cause a lot of havoc. It can squeeze units together and cause lightning chains a lot better. Winds of the North should be played a lot more than it actually is. The 2 movement of all the units is just too good not to play. Play this card, you'll really enjoy it. Let's touch on Armory. Armory and Temple, the 5 gods. Which one is better? We'll cover Temple in a minute. I personally like Armory better, and here's the reason why. It gives 1 attack and 1 health to all your units in play. When you play them, they come into play with an extra 1 attack and 1 health for as long as Armory stays on the field. If Armory is destroyed, they lose the attack buff and the health buff. Same with all the other buildings. If a building is destroyed, you no longer have the benefit of the building. The reason why I like Armory better is because it gets a static +1 attack, which means that since all units retaliate now, the 1 attack is factored in toward retaliation damage, which makes your units a lot more powerful than your opponent's units. Generally, the attack buff is going to be anywhere from 10 to 20% of your unit's attack power, which is a pretty significant buff that your opponents won't have. So if your units are all 20% stronger than your opponent's units, who do you think is going to win? That's what I thought. So Armory, very powerful, should be played a lot more than it is. I like it way better than Temple just because the 1 attack buff on the defensive end is so powerful. Should be played more. Zerker, play this guy all the time. Brinjals Big Vash, terrible. Let's touch on Dragon Taming for a minute here. This is Dragon Taming that adds 2 Ice Drakes to your hand. It essentially draws them out of an imaginary card pool. It does not pull them out of your deck. So if you have Ice Drakes in your deck, they stay in your deck, and you can have as many as 4 additional Ice Drakes if you play 2 Dragon Tamings. So you can have an army of Ice Drakes staring down your opponent. This card is very cute. You need to be careful with this. If you play this at the wrong time, you'll sacrifice the initiative and the tempo that you have on your opponent. If you're playing a slow, controlly game, getting this card is very useful. If you're aggressive and you're already on your opponent's throat, you don't want to waste time playing Dragon Taming. This card can win games if played in the right situations, but make sure you play this at the right time. On turn 3 may not be the best time. You might want to hold on to this for a while. Only play it when you actually have the opportunity to, but when you do, it's really powerful. Fist of the Ancient Hero, I'm not really going to go into too much detail. This card should be played 2 copies in every Viking deck ever. Ice Blast, Ice Weapon, Insight. This card is kind of cute. It does something that not a lot of cards do. It's not a 1 turn, it's a 2 turn buff, so it's not permanent. But it's not temporary either, even though it kind of is. This gives 4 attack during your turn and the next turn. Also, keep in mind that that 4 attack sticks around during your opponent's next turn as well. So, unlike with standard 1 turn buffs, this card will stick around during your opponent's turn, so they have to be wary if they're going to attack the unit that you buff up. So it can be an offensive and a defensive card. It'll keep your unit alive a lot longer than you think. I think this card should see a little bit more play because of the utility. However, it's not that great at the same time. It deserves to be play tested with a little bit more than it has. A lot of people just dismiss this since it got changed. Originally, it used to give a ranged unit +1 range, and you would draw a card. So it would just increase the range of your units a little bit, and it would replace itself. However, Insight, the way that it is now, I think it's really decent. I think it should see a lot more play, especially in lower level play. This card can really be a pest. Temple of the Five Gods. Let's touch on this guy a minute. This similar armory. This gives lightning 1 and 1 health. So instead, you're replacing 1 attack with lightning 1, which means the lightning 1 will chain between your enemies that are connected. And it can cause some extra damage to the castle as well as some units that aren't really in play yet. At the cost of the defensive aspect of the static +1 attack. So your opponents, if they're attacking you, won't have to deal with an extra attack. That's why I like Armory better. Not saying Temple's bad. They cost the same amount of gold to play, and they have very similar effects. I just like the defensive aspect better for Armory than I do for the Lightning 1 of Temple. In Temple, generally speaking, in order to make it useful, you need to be attacking all the time. If you're not attacking, then the attack buff is not available to you. So, if you are playing a heavy attacking deck, beat, bash, 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 Temple may be better. However, I think Armory is just more useful overall than Temple is. I generally don't play them both because they take up that valuable 3 slot in a deck. So keep that in mind. Trees are going to be your defensive unit. Wind Weapon gives a unit knockback. Very good in tournament, not so good in constructed. Play Fist of the Ancient Hero in constructed instead. But in tournament, if you get the opportunity to draft Wind Weapon, do it. Aura of Command, another card that should see more play. In tournament, this thing is really nasty. In constructed, I think you can make it good if you try hard. It used to give like units +5 attack, and they neutered it to like 4 attack, and they've just been kind of scaling the power of this card down because it was too strong. It gives all the units that are near a unit that you have buffed with Aura of Command +2 attack, as well as it gives +2 attack and +2 health to the unit that you enchant. So it's battle gear with a big upside. It can do enough to turn the tide of a battle, but keep in mind that you need to have your units clumped together in order to make this useful, and sometimes that can be bad. So be careful. Ice Drake, Ice Weaver, Master of Arms. This card, when I was in the beta test for AOD, I thought Master at Arms was going to be a powerhouse. I thought that this was an auto include in everything. I thought Master of Arms was going to change the game. I thought he's too strong the way that he's listed right here today. I thought he is too powerful, needs to be neutered. He's a 4-drop with double strike. But in practice, he seems a lot better than he actually is. Keep in mind, his stats are the same as Ice Weaver's stats. Except for he gets the Master of Arms does get the extra attack buff. Ranged units generally have a weaker stat line than melee units. Seeing that these two have the same stat line, he comes in with his own one attack buff. So keep that in mind. But since he has the same stat line as a ranged unit, his stat line is a little bit weaker than other 4-drop units, although there aren't really a whole heck of a lot of them. See, Guardian has an additional +3 health at the cost of 1 attack and double strike, but Guardian also gets pierce, so maybe not a very good comparison. But this card is really nasty if you're on the offensive or if you have a ton of units on the field. Giving them the extra attack makes them a little bit more deadly. If you can get this guy on a base, he can deal a ton of damage all at once. But since units do retaliate, like melee units retaliate against each other, the double strike doesn't really become that useful. So if you're running him in a deck, you might find him to be really underwhelming. He can combo with some cool stuff. He's definitely should see play, but you may run into him drawing Master of Arms and be disappointed. Generally, I don't like playing cards when I draw them and be disappointed to see it in my hand. So a lot of times I don't run this guy. He can be good, however, but I think it takes a little bit too much work to make him really useful. So really be careful and kind of rethink Master of Arms if he's in your deck. If you don't find him to be super useful, try cutting him and replacing him with something else and see how that goes. Battering Ram. Look how strong this looks. It's a 5-drop. It deals 7s for each unit you have next to the target. So, if you have 3 units around your opponent's base and use Battering Ram, that's boom, 21 damage. Wow. That seems awesome. However, getting 3 units next to your opponent's base and having 5 gold to work with doesn't happen very often. Battering Ram should not be played. It is not very good. It's very difficult to make this card work. And when you do, it's kind of a win more card because if you have the opportunity to get 3 units around your opponent's base, you're usually winning anyway. So Battering Ram's kind of a win more card, but you're not going to win games because of Battering Ram. So be careful with this card. It looks way stronger than it is. Trust me. Battle Training Blizzard. For some god-awful reason, people think this card is good, and I don't know why. This card is not good. It doesn't do anything. It deals 2 damage to all enemies and slows them down at the cost of 5 gold. It's like Firestorm, but it costs 3 more with a slow effect. That's it. The slow effect is not worth 3 gold. This card should be scaled down to 4 or 3 gold in order to make it useful. At 5 gold, it just doesn't do enough. If you're playing 5-drop to keep your opponents back for a turn, you have bigger problems than just being able to deal 2 to everything. Like, this doesn't even destroy any units. It doesn't do anything. People think this card's a lot better than it actually is. It's not good. Don't play it. Cycle seems a lot better than it actually is. It does draw a card to replace itself, but it's just not that great. Alright, let's touch on probably the best Viking card there is right now. Boom. Lightning Blade. Gives a unit Lightning 5. In attacks with chain damage to all connected enemies. 5 is enormous. It kills a ton of things as well as support buildings. And it is permanent. So if your unit survives it will have Lightning 5 again the next turn. You can also throw this on a ranged unit and give your ranged unit plus 5 Lightning. So it is monstrous. This should be a 2 of in every Viking deck you run because it just does such a great job of clearing the enemy's field. It makes them have to keep their guys very spaced out, makes it hard for them to benefit from each other. Placement isn't that great for the opponent. Lightning Blade should be played all the time. You will never be disappointed to draw a Lightning Blade. Here's the dragon. Yay, dragon. This is one of the weaker dragons. You need drakes in order to make this useful, but it does make your drakes significantly more powerful. Its stat line on its own is pretty good. I mean, compared to Barbarian, right here, same gold cost. I guess we can compare it to Ragnar as well. Same gold cost. You're sacrificing, you know, one attack for 3 health. Between Barbarian, but the effect here is kind of good, but you need to have this in a dedicated deck. This is not a very good standalone card. Box standard, Ragnar. Ragnar has great cleave. It's an ability that only one other unit has. It essentially hits all units, all surrounding all 8 squares around Ragnar, including the 3 behind him as well. So units can be kind of spaced out a little bit, and he still hits them all. Then when he hits them with that great cleave, it also knocks them back 3 in whatever direction that they're supposed to go. And then after they get knocked back, then the lightning spreads. So be careful when you're trying to set up combos with Ragnar, since they are removing the undo button that was announced last night. You need a little practice to make Ragnar useful. But he's really good. That 11 health is really powerful. So just be careful with Ragnar. He's really good. He should be played in Vikings, but he's not as strong as you think he should be. But at the same time, he can be strong. This is one of the cards that got bumped up from a rare to a legendary in one go with really no added effect. Well, the knockback. But so this is kind of on the weaker end of legendary cards. Like I said, he did get bumped up straight from rare to legendary. So a lot of people do have Ragnar, but be careful when you play him. The way that it affects stack nowadays makes him kind of difficult to figure out what he's supposed to do. But play it. He's good standalone. Winds of the Njord moves the castle as well. Just make sure that when you're playing Winds of the Njord, your opponent is not attacking you. If you don't have the initiative and play this card, you will probably get killed. Dragon Bolt. This can deal damage to the castle. So it can finish you off. It replaces itself. It draws a card. 5 damage at 7 gold doesn't seem like a lot, but since it can deal damage directly to the castle, this can be enough to just kind of get you over the top and get you that win. Alright. Triple Strike, probably my favorite Viking card. This card is insane. I mean, look at that art. That tree is just going ham. He's got 3 arms, crazy glowy eyes, ridiculous. Triple Strike is amazing. This should be played in every Viking deck. I play 1 copy in all of them, 2 copies rarely. Usually I save Triple Strike just to win the game. So I save Triple Strike for an attack on the base. If I need 2 Triple Strikes, I can't play them both in the same turn anyway, but 2 is generally too much. You don't want them to clutter your hand. I play 1 in all of them. The reason why is, let's just say you have a unit like, I don't know, Aeroth, for example, on your base with no buffs. So you can go, oh, this card's going to go in there and deal 4 damage to my base. Now it deals 12 damage. That gets scaled up if you hit him with a buff. Let's say you have Aeroth on the field and you play something like Aura of Command. Right, you give him a 6 attack, that buff also multiplies. So it deals 6, 12, 18. I mean, let's show something really nasty here. How about Sheep to the Slaughter? You got the Aeroth on the field. Alright, you're going to be dealing 4 damage to my base. I then play Sheep to the Slaughter to move enemies out of the way so I can actually get to the base. Give them plus 6 attack, so I'm raise that 4 attack to 10 attack. I play Triple Strike with the remaining 7 gold and deal 30 damage to your base in 1 attack. Yeah, that happens. Triple Strike should be played all the time because when you're playing against Vikings, you need to be very careful not to let anything get close to your base, or Triple Strike can kill you. Might of the Minotaur is also another really common one to play with Triple Strike because it does give plus 5 attack. So plus 5 attack is in Triple Strike at 10 gold, does 15 damage on its own, plus the base attack power of what you're looking at. You play something like Aeroth, it's 27 damage. You only need 3 more to get there. Triple Strike should be played in everything. Brinjals the hero. This guy's essentially a big ass board wipe. Kills almost everything in one shot. If your opponent has units that are bigger than 7, they survive. But this guy, generally speaking, will come onto the field, kill every single unit that your opponent has on the field, and then punch the base for 7. So it really gains you the initiative back. It's really powerful. If you're playing Mono Viking, you're playing it to play Brinjals, and sometimes it's worth it, but it's up to you, really. He's super strong. So that's kind of the quick breakdown of the Viking units anyway. Again, I do have all the Viking cards. I'll kind of touch on my foils a minute here. Let's go back to the start. I have all the foils except for the AOD foils. I don't have those yet. I got a couple, but not play sets or anything. Again, AOD there. Foil legend. Ooh, I don't. I also don't have Brinjals Big Bash and foil. Foil. Zerker. I will end up making these guys foil because he's really good. This one I don't have, but keep in mind these cost 16,000 shards to make. This one I opened. I wish that this gave me foil ice drakes, but it doesn't. Oh, again, I got a couple AOD ones. I opened this in a pack. Again, these cost 8,000 shards to make. So you can either create a foil epic card or a regular legendary. It's your call. Yay, foil Gungnir. I actually opened this in a black market booster. Again, foil ice drake. I've only got one. Oh, how much did it cost to make? 2,000. So I can make a foil rare for 2,000, or I can make a regular epic. Again, Master of Arms I don't have. A lot of these I did craft. Yay, foil. Foil. So there's that. Anyway, now I'm going to kind of quick throw something together to see if Rampage works with support units. I got to delete a deck here. Now, let's see here. A lot of these decks I build and never use. Oh, this one. Yeah, that can go. Alright, let's just kind of throw together... Oh, fuck. Yeah, I think it's the way that I've got to go. See, I wish on this screen right here, there was a way to toggle on and off foils, because... Let's see, if I'm just looking at units right now, all units that I have the ability to do. Let's see how long it takes for me to get to the top. Yeah. There should be a filter. Oh, I got a text. Okay, babe, I love you. Okay, thanks. Alright. So let's see here. Let's make this deck not terrible. Oh, we don't want those. Let's play those. This. that. This. These. This. 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 Alright, let's scale it down a little bit. I'm gonna cut those. Actually, that's probably enough. Buildings. This. And, not that. These. And some spells. Sorry, I'm kind of doing this very quickly. This deck I don't expect to be any good. These. These. Oh shoot, I need those as well. There we go. That's Warlock 2. Let's see. Where are we at? This one. Let's play against the Vikings. Alright. Let's get a practice game in here. We don't want any of those. Oh, shit. I meant to mulligan away that sentry golem. Oops. Alright. I'm going to save the coin for later. Alright. There's a lumberjack and bear. Again, he attacks me. Get rid of that guy. Alright, now I need a support unit. He's got a support unit. Let's see here. Incinerator. Alright. Hall of Winds. Yay. Oh, here we go. Smithy. They can support twice. Huh. Did you guys catch that? I'll show it again next turn. Watch. Again, Smithy's not the unit that I would be using for this, but... Huh. Interesting. I didn't know it worked that way. Oh no. Alright, let's finish this idiot off, huh? Alright. Boom. Boom. Alright. But yeah, there you go. You learn something new every day, I guess. Learn something new every single day. Let's see here. Yeah, bang. Well, there you go. Proof of concept. Rampage let your support units attack twice. I don't know if there's a good way to take advantage of that or not, but there you go. So that's kind of a brief rundown of the Berserker cards. Leave me a comment if, as far as the audio quality of the video, what you think I can do to improve it. as well as far as content goes. If you have any questions about the Vikings cards, again, I went over them very quickly. But again, here they are, Vikings cards. If you think something's really good and I didn't touch on it, if you think something's really bad and then I did touch on it, like cards like Lightning Bolt are pretty good, should be played. Cards like Sheep to the Slaughter, cute. Can be played, hard to make useful, but when you do, it's a monster. Stuff like that. I just kind of wanted to touch on some of the cards that a lot of people don't touch on. But yeah, I mean, there it is, the Viking cards. Other than that, have a good day, folks, and I will make another video for who's next. It's like Crusaders are next, so I'll make another video to touch on Crusaders. One of my favorite Crusader cards right here. Better watch out for Trognen the Burner. Well, spoiler maybe? We'll see. Have a good one.